Thanks for listening. You should watch this. Just picture a really tight-knit community coming together for a baby shower.
Oh, yeah.
You've got the pastel decorations, the pile of carefully wrapped gifts, the cake, and, right at the center of it all is this glowing mother-to-be.
Right. Everyone is just celebrating.
Exactly. Everyone is celebrating. But the bump that everyone is cooing over, it's a prosthetic.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually a weapon. The entire room is pouring all this love and support into a mirage that's been completely engineered by a predator.
It is a profoundly chilling image. And, I mean, it's the exact reality we're confronted with in the source material we're reviewing today.
Yeah. So today's deep dive is focused on the Netflix documentary Maternal Instinct. And we're going to show you exactly why this specific film is essential viewing.
Absolutely.
Because it completely shatters the mold of the standard true crime format. Like,
Yes.
This is not just another sensationalized recount of a terrible event that you just play in the background while you fold laundry.
No, not at all. It really demands your full attention because it functions as a mirror.
Right.
What this documentary does so effectively is it forces you to confront the actual mechanics of deception.
Yeah, the how and the why.
Exactly. It examines how trust itself can be weaponized against us. And, how incredibly ordinary, well-meaning people can just find themselves drawn into this extraordinary darkness.
Without even realizing it.
Right, without ever realizing that the danger is standing right next to them, or sharing their home, or, like you said, attending their parties.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because to understand why this documentary transcends your typical, run-of-the-mill true crime fare, we first have to really look at its psychological approach.
Right.
The central figure here is Taylor Parker. Now, usually, a documentary like this would just paint the perpetrator in the broadest strokes possible, right?
Oh, yeah. They give us the ominous droning music.
Stamp the word monster on her forehead in the first 10 minutes.
Exactly, and then just move straight on to the bloody details.
Right, but this film takes a totally different route.
It really does. The filmmakers take this deliberate, almost forensic approach to unraveling Parker's deception through a very careful assembly of interviews, archival footage, and meticulously paced narration. They don't just show you the horrific end result.
Right, they map it out.
Yeah, they map the entire progression of the lie. They explain the actual mechanism of her deceit.
Which is wild.
It is, because we see how the fabrication started out incredibly small.
Just tiny things, right?
Yeah, we're talking about minor lies regarding her health and then a manipulated relationship with her boyfriend, which, eventually metastasized into the massive fabricated pregnancy.
And that progression is what I really want to dig into.
Right.
Because the jump from faking a minor illness for a little extra attention to faking a 10-month pregnancy,
It's a huge leap.
it's astronomical. How does a person bridge that gap?
Well, what's fascinating here is that the documentary refuses to flatten Parker into a caricature to answer that question.
Right.
It maps her psychological terrain by exploring her deep-seated insecurities and this intense, almost desperate need for validation.
Mm-hmm.
It frames her escalation as a terrifying form of adaptation.
Adaptation, that's a good word for it.
Yeah, because when a small lie, like a minor illness, successfully elicited the sympathy and control she craved, her brain basically registered that as a viable survival tactic.
Oh, I see.
But, the high of that sympathy fades. The people around you go back to their normal life.
Right, they have their own stuff going on.
Exactly. So to get that feeling back, to maintain that center of attention status, the next lie has to be bigger.
I was reading through our notes on this, and it made me think of financial fraud.
Oh, interesting. Like how?
Well, it's like a psychological Ponzi scheme.
Oh, I like that.
Right. You borrow a lie today to cover the reality of yesterday, but then you have to invent an even bigger lie tomorrow just to pay out the dividends on the first one.
Yes, exactly.
She forged ultrasounds, she faked doctor's appointments, she threw gender reveal parties. You are constantly robbing Peter to pay Paul.
And the interest on that deception compounds.
Right, until you are completely bankrupt of reality. Suddenly, you're trapped inside this elaborate world you created, and the only way out is a catastrophic collapse.
A Ponzi scheme of reality is a brilliant way to frame it, because she really built an entire identity out of fabrications.
Yeah?
And just the sheer logistical weight of maintaining that reality.
Must be exhausting.
Incredibly exhausting, making sure the timeline matched up, ensuring different friends heard the exact same stories, maintaining the physical illusion with the prosthetic bump.
Right.
That weight is what drove the escalation toward extreme violence. The lie became her actual life, and she was going to defend it at all costs.
I hear that, but I have to stop you there and just push back on something that has been driving me crazy since I first started looking at this source material.
Okay, what is it?
If she is running this massive compounding Ponzi scheme of reality, where are the auditors?
Ah, right.
Like, how do manipulation and extreme danger hide in plain sight like that? I mean, empathy from her community is great, but come on. A 10-month pregnancy.
Yeah, the math doesn't work.
Didn't anyone just ask for a doctor's note? At some point, doesn't empathy cross the line into willful ignorance?
That is the natural reaction. Absolutely. You look at it from the outside and you just think, I would have known.
Right. Anyone would think that.
But if we connect this to the bigger picture, the documentary uses that exact question to explore our massive societal blind spots.
Okay, how so?
The film argues that it wasn't willful ignorance, it was cognitive dissonance fueled by societal conditioning.
Societal conditioning.
Yeah. Parker's manipulation was cloaked in the appearance of maternal longing. And society has placed this massive halo effect around motherhood.
Maternal longing. That is a very specific, very powerful shield to use.
It really is.
But explain how that works in practice, though. Like, how does that shut down someone's critical thinking so completely?
Well, the film dives deep into this cultural commentary. It explores the immense pressures placed on women to conform to certain roles.
Right.
Specifically, the expectation that a woman's ultimate fulfillment comes through motherhood.
Yeah, that's deeply ingrained.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when someone presents themselves as a mother-to-be, there is a collective, almost hardwired societal instinct to support and nurture them.
Oh, totally.
We don't interrogate pregnant women. We hold doors for them. We throw them parties. We offer them our seats on the bus.
Right. You don't ask to see a medical chart.
Exactly. To suddenly accuse a pregnant woman of faking it violates every social contract we have.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Because the easy, cynical takeaway is just to say the people around her, her boyfriend, her friends, they were just gullible fools.
Right.
But the documentary makes the case that the deception worked because of people's innate goodness.
I would actually take it a step further. It wasn't just their goodness, it was their brain's inability to reconcile the horror of the truth with the mundane reality of their daily lives.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Think about her boyfriend or her close friends. To admit that she was faking a pregnancy would require them to accept that they were sharing a bed with, or having coffee with, a profoundly disturbed, dangerous individual.
Which is a terrifying thought.
Exactly. The human brain protects itself from that kind of trauma.
So it just denies it.
Right. When faced with a minor red flag, like a timeline not quite adding up, it is psychologically much easier to rationalize it.
Like, oh, the doctor must have miscalculated.
Yes. Or, she's just stressed out. That's so much easier to believe than my partner is a sociopath executing a master plan.
Oh, wow. So the community's empathy and their trust were entirely hijacked.
Completely.
We are wired to help a vulnerable person. We're wired to avoid conflict and maintain social harmony. And when you look at it through that lens, you realize it's not a story about foolish people being tricked. It's a terrifying commentary on human decency being exploited.
Which is a remarkably bitter pill to swallow.
Yeah, no kidding.
It means our very best qualities, our compassion, our trust, our desire to support our neighbors, those things can be used as blinders.
That's rough.
It is. But the documentary does not judge the community. It actually sympathizes with them. It shows how predators rely on the social contracts that the rest of us strictly adhere to.
Man. Well, that leads us really to the emotional core of this deep dive.
Yes, it does.
Because while understanding the mechanics of that deception, the psychological Ponzi scheme, the weaponized empathy, while all of that is intellectually gripping, what actually keeps this film from feeling exploitative is who it chooses to center. Because at the heart of all this is the victim, Reagan Simmons Hancock.
This is where Maternal Instinct truly breaks the norms of the true crime genre.
Totally.
We are also familiar with how these stories are usually told. A staggering number of documentaries reduce the victim to a smiling photograph at the beginning.
Right, maybe a graduation picture.
Exactly, and then maybe another brief mention at the very end. They just become background figures in their own tragedies.
Completely overshadowed by the dark spectacle of the perpetrator.
Right. The killer gets all the screen time, the deep psychological analysis, the dramatic reenactments.
And the victim is just treated as a narrative inciting incident.
Yes, exactly.
It's a huge, valid critique of the genre because it can feel so incredibly dehumanizing, just, turning someone's worst day into sheer entertainment.
It really can.
But our review of this source material notes that this documentary completely flips that script. It gives immense intentional space to Reagan Simmons Hancock.
It really does.
The filmmakers make sure you actually learn about her personality, you learn about her relationships, her goals, the kind of mother she was, and the profound, echoing grief that her loved ones are left to navigate.
It functions as a deeply human-centered tribute.
A tribute, yeah.
The filmmakers clearly understood that to truly grasp the weight of the crime, you have to understand the specific weight of the life that was taken.
Well said.
It reminds you that behind the sensationalized clickbait headlines is a real, vibrant person whose future was violently stolen.
Right.
And the documentary doesn't just stop at Reagan's immediate story. It forces the viewer to look at the massive ripple effects.
The blast radius.
Yeah.
Because it's never just the immediate victim.
Never. You witness the sheer devastation experienced by Reagan's family. You see the shockwaves that tore through their entire local community.
I can't even imagine.
It forever alters how these people view their neighbors. The documentary doesn't shy away from the grueling emotional toll of the investigation and the subsequent trial.
Yeah.
And what you see is the pain. It's raw, it's palpable, it's exhausting. But you also see the fierce resilience of Reagan's family.
Which our source describes as both heartbreaking and deeply inspiring.
Absolutely. They refuse to let Reagan be defined solely by what happened to her.
And for you listening, this is exactly why you should care about how this story is told.
Right.
When a documentary grounds the horror in that kind of raw, genuine emotion, it reveals the long-term, bleeding consequences of violence.
It really pulls back the curtain.
It does. It shows you that the damage extends far, far beyond a courtroom verdict or a prison sentence. It's not just some puzzle for internet sleuths to solve. It's a gaping wound that real people have to wake up and live with every single day of their lives.
And importantly, that profound respect for the family and for Reagan is perfectly mirrored in the technical craft of the film itself.
That's right, the filmmaking.
Exactly. The filmmakers rely heavily on restraint rather than sensationalism to deliver their impact.
Yeah.
Visually, the source notes that the film is highly polished, sterile, and very intentional.
Meaning they don't go for the cheap cinematic tricks to force a reaction out of the audience.
No, not at all. The pacing is incredibly tight, the editing is precise, and the tone remains steadfastly respectful.
Which is so rare.
It is. And crucially, they avoid gratuitous reenactments of the violence.
Thank goodness.
Right. There are no dramatic slow-motion embellishments, no actors pretending to be the victim in the shadows. They just trust the raw truth of the story to carry its own weight.
It's kind of like the difference between a sudden explosion and a slow-acting toxin in a water supply.
Oh, that's a great analogy.
Right. An explosion gives you that immediate jolt of adrenaline and shock, but then it's over.
Yeah.
The toxin, it's invisible. It permeates everything. And by the time you realize you're sick, it's too late.
That is exactly the vibe.
That's the kind of dread this film creates.
Yeah.
The horror emerges naturally from the quiet, documented truth of the story itself, which makes it far more haunting than any dramatic music or fake blood ever could.
That restraint allows the horror to breathe. It doesn't tell you how to feel, it just presents the terrifying reality.
Yeah.
This raises an important question. How well do we really know the people we interact with every day?
Oof, that's the scariest part.
It is. What deep, unfulfilled psychological needs drive someone to build an identity entirely on lies? And how easily could we be fooled by them?
Very easily, it seems.
The film challenges the viewer by not spoon-feeding you the answers. It respects its audience enough to let you sit with that profound discomfort. It forces you to grapple with the extreme fragility of human trust on your own.
So what does this all mean?
Well,
If you're scrolling through your streaming queue tonight, just overwhelmed by options, why pick this one?
right.
You should watch this because it's a rare, emotionally rich piece of documentary filmmaking that is going to stay with you for its humanity, not its brutality.
Beautifully said.
It is a stark, unforgettable reminder that the most terrifying stories don't feature literal monsters hiding in the closet.
No, they don't.
They unfold quietly in the real world, hidden behind ordinary faces, neighborhood baby showers, and just everyday lives.
I couldn't agree more. If you value content that actually deepens your understanding of human psychology and does so while genuinely, respectfully honoring the real people affected by
Which
tragedy.
is so important.
It really is. The consensus from our source material is incredibly clear. Maternal Instinct is an absolute must-watch.
Yeah.
It will fundamentally change how you view the intersection of trust and vulnerability.
And as you think about adding it to your watch list tonight, I want to leave you with one final thought to really mull over.
Let's hear it.
We talked extensively about how empathy was weaponized in this case, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how the halo effect of motherhood blinded a whole community.
Mm.
So when we encounter someone who perfectly matches society's ideal of vulnerability or maternal longing, do our critical instincts just automatically shut down?
That's a chilling thought.
Next time a story or a person feels almost too perfectly designed to win your sympathy, ask yourself, are you seeing the real them, or are you just seeing a reflection of what society has conditioned you to nurture?